Hello everyone, welcome to Forget Fractal. So this is a buff module, and let's get the stages. So you have 4x8 rectangle. On each stage you just need to take note of the colors that appear, and if the stage has already got a color previously, you just put a new one onto the cell. So this one will correspond to the top grid in my nodes, this one will correspond to the bottom grid in my nodes. So, yellow, red. Either way, this means it selects any color, so I will mark it as question mark. When all the stages are done, you should now have every cell with a color. And once again, if at some stage you get a color, for example, right now you would have this as blue, you would just swap the color to change the color to whatever it is right now. So after you've got all the stages, the right number, by the way, shows how many total stages there are. The left number shows what stage you are on right now. You click the display, and your goal is now to construct Fractal. So on the first one, I will show how to solve it. On the second one, I will show the recovery modes. So what is a fractal? Well, on this module, you have a 4x8 grid for height 8 width. So to construct a fractal, you need to each time divide your shape into halves. When your shape is a rectangle, you divide it in 2 squares, and choose any square you want, and depending on how you want your fractal to look. For example, the right one, and mark those cells as number 0. Then you have half of the initial fractal left, and now you need to divide it horizontally if it's a square. If it's a square, you divide it horizontally. It says it here. Square is a rectangle divided into two equal squares if it's a square divided horizontally. So in our case we have this half and this half, and once again, depending on what you want your fractal to look like, you pick any half, and for example let's pick the bottom one, mark it as ones, and once again you repeat the process until all of the cells are a part of some sort of until all cells have been assigned a number. Once again you divide it into squares. For example, this one will be 2, this and divide this square into horizontal, so this one for example will be 3, which this one we divide into squares again, so this is 4, and the remaining cell is supposed to be 5 plus, which we will mark as question mark, and you will see that this question mark is supposed to be like that. So your goal is looking at the grid that you've got, you need to change specific cells, and not only change but change as little as possible, so you could create a valid fractal, which means that it follows this scheme right here, where number corresponds to the color. So color 0 is going to be always red, so depending on the colors you've got, you need to pick one of halves and make it red, and in such a way that when your full fractal is done, that you have as little changes as possible. So as you can see here, the left half has 3, 5, 7, 9 reds, the right half has 5 reds, which means if we pick the left side, we have to change only 7 cells to red instead of 11 on the right half. So we color those cells that are not red in red color, and these 3. Okay. And now we're left with the right half, and we need to pick now one of the top or the bottom half to be color green. And let's see which one has more greens. The bottom one has 2, the top one has 0. So here we need to change only 6 colors to green. Here we only need to change all 8. Okay, the remaining colors 2, 3, and 4 are determined from this table. Sum of serial digits is divisible by 6. 9, 18, yes it is, 18 is divisible by 6. So our color 2 is magenta. We're left with this piece, so which square out of these 2 are we going to pick? Our next color is magenta, which means this one has this half has 1 magenta, this half has 0 magentas. Which means that it's we should take the left half as magentas and change these 3 to magentas. So now we're left with this little square of 4, and our next color is yellow. And look, we already have the top half as yellow, so we pick that as yellow and we don't need to change there anything. Now we're left with these 2 cells that we need to divide. Color 4 is blue, and already we have the left color. We already have the left half of this thing as blue, and the remaining one is always called 5 plus and is considered any color, which means it is the question mark. It doesn't mean that it can be any color. It's just any color. It's different thing. So for example, if here was any other color, for example green, we would still have to change it to the question mark. in our case it's this thing, so yeah, it's considered a different thing. Okay, so we don't need to change anything here, and now this number on the left shows how many changes we've made, and once you think you are done, you submit the module, and it shows your constructed fractal. On this thing, I will show the recovery mode. So you have three possible displays. If you accidentally change the color to what it already has, so for example, I don't need this anymore. For example, this top left is red, and you change it to red, and anything else, and you submit, it will show you this cell in its color that you in red that you submitted. So let's, for example, solve this thing first. Well, not solve, but put it into solve state. So which half has less reds? This has less reds. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 reds. And remember, red is always color 0. So we change this to red, this to red, this to red, and this to red. Next we have color green. This top half has 6 greens, so we choose that as green. Change only these two. Next is magenta. Both halves here have 1 magenta, so we should take a look at yellow. Yellow is located here. So that means that we should probably consider, okay, yellow and then blue. Okay, so if we pick left half as magenta, we need to change 3 colors. Then when we take a look at the right half, we don't have any yellow, so we need to pick the top or the bottom half and change both colors to yellow. And then when we take a look at blue, it is located here. For yellow we need to take these two. For blue this one, and for any color we need to take the remaining color. This will result in changing 6 colors. This, because this half is magenta, this 4. So these two to yellow, which will make it 5, and this one to any, which will make it 6. Now, what if we pick the right half as magenta? We will need to still change these 3 to magenta, this 3 to magenta, then we have yellow on the bottom, so we change this one to yellow, which will make it 4, and then blue and question mark, which will make it 6. So we can choose any of these options. Okay, let's choose yellow, for example. So this will need to be magentas. Then top 2 of these are going to be yellows. Then this one is already blue, and this should be like this. What happens if we put a color that is already a color of the cell? So for example, I will put these two as green, and this one is red. This thing shows exactly those cells that you submitted right here, and everything else is different. So now you go to the submission state again, and now you are supposed to know what colors are on that position. So let's take a look at the second recovery mode. Red display, the fractal is invalid. So that means that the thing you built is not actually a fractal. So for example, let's mess up the grid and put something on it. Oh, it's still blue. 1 second. Okay, these recovery modes are in priority. You still, if you have any color of the cell if you have changed any color of the cell that to what it already has, you will get the blue display regardless of if these two are true or false. If you did not change anything to what it is already, then it will check for this condition. So for example, let's change cells to what they are not. So to red, for example, yellow, red, yellow, magenta. Just messing around, making sure that none of the colors repeat. Okay, I believe none of the colors repeat. Let me now check. Okay, as you can see, it gave me a ton of strikes. A ton of strikes. It says right here, you will receive the number of strikes equal to the minimum number of changes required to turn the submitted fractal into a valid fractal. Which means, and by the way, my strike count should be 20, the maximum, I mean. And if after you make this mistake, the number of strikes given should be more than your limit on the bomb, it will not go beyond the limit, it will stay one above. So for example, I had 2 strikes I believe before submitting, so right now I have 19, which means there are at least 17 or even more changes required to turn the thing into a valid fractal. And as you can see here, it shows what you have submitted. Let's go back. And I cannot really show right now because I have a strike limit, but the fractal magenta display occurs when the fractal is valid, but a solution that requires fewer color changes exists. So for example, if you right here you have more reds on the left, but you decided to make the right half as red, that will eventually result in more changes. I will just show it. So let's take a look at the red thing, right thing. Let's think it's red. So everything except these two is red. Now let's pretend that these two, so this half on the bottom is green, and all of them need to be green. Now let's pretend that magenta is this right square, So we need to change only this to magenta. Oh, come on. Then it's yellow. So for example, these two top are yellow. Then it's blue and any color. So let's make this blue, and this is already any color. Well, in this case, the fractal will be valid, and there is no cells that we change the color to what it already has. But it's right because we have 27 changes, and there is definitely a solution that requires less changes. So let's make it blank. That is fine, isn't it? Okay. So the left half should be red, as I remember. Yeah. It's 3, and these 2, and these 2. Next is green, which is top half. Next is magenta. I don't remember what's the left half. Then it's yellow, which was the top half, I believe. Next is blue, which is this right cell, and this is any color. We have 17 changes, which is less than 27, and the module is solved, which means there are no solutions with less than 17 changes. And obviously, if there are several solutions with minimum count of changes, as we saw in this example, because we could just make this one magenta instead, and we still would have 6 color changes in these 8 cells. That would also be valid. Anyway, thank you for watching and have a nice day.